So, I spent a lot of time going there, and they send me a couple of health issues. I'm going there, people say the wrong thing. We see all the other fine. News at 11, you always try to provide you with people in the crowd. Well, it's sort of strange how I got into town anyway. I tell them, I college this is what you going to make it? Right. I get finances or accounting, you got to make it. Those are President Mayor Hamilton I told him one time we were talking about approval county. Is not, that's right. That's right. Measure fine. See, we used to actually finance major things. That's surgery in the morning. Right. Yeah, I guess. Well, probably right. I don't know. That's true, though. I've been a lot better. I've been really all I talk to county. Really? Yeah. Just a puzzle of it. That's what I always like about. That's what I always like. I like those two aspects of that. Yeah. See, back then when I was going, we could use calculus. Right. We didn't have calculus no more, but then finally came out that whatever it came out. We couldn't use that. That was illegal. That was right. The H12C when I was a junior in college. Finance. I'm sure that's what it's called. Those are the blessings. They would have signed up for county.
Oh, we had them call it all week.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we had to do that. That's where that is. I don't, you know, we had to do that. And there's no way to do it. They were except to approximate, you know. That's right. It was good. It got within a certain window. They would give it to us.
Okay. But
it never did make it. Then when I got taken to calculus, I could calculate. I finally represented yeah, that's what church, rivers church roads. Anyway, I went to Georgia State freshman year. First, I didn't sign up for AP grants to send the first calculus, which was glad. Yeah. Basically, everything's right. That's what meant. That's what they don't yeah, it's important. But the sheriff's department will respond to animal control. That's fresh high school. Shelter. I didn't tell him. I thought it was to your chair. All right, you ready?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our July 11th agenda setting work session, Madison County Board of Commissioners. I am Derek Doster, Vice Chair at Service District 5. The Chairman is out this evening. He will not be here, so I'll be presiding during the meeting tonight. And I believe Mr. Frank May will be out of town as well, for in addition to. So I believe what you see today or at the table is who we got tonight. And I'd like to start with the pledge, please. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Got a few notes back from as the chairman's report. Most everybody knows, or a lot of you know, that we've been slowly but deliberately getting our noise ordinance study completed from our consultant, our PGO. They have sent an update, if you're interested, in some of the modeling and drafting based on traffic noise. So as they also pulled in about 26 locations for some additional information. And so they have begun drafting some additional documentation for us to review and a potential ordinance. And as soon as that information is available, we will be able to share that, have some community feedback. I believe that's our intention on that. And then hopefully so in the next month, we'll be able to share that information. Anybody that pulled off the agenda package off the website, I believe, you can see the map that's on there and the locations that were sampled with some of the noise equivalencies that were shared there in the decibel level readings. If you want more than that, I'll have to take your question and find an expert, see what that actually reads. All right. Coming up this week, hope everybody have an opportunity that can attend Thursday evening at 6 Fire Department. Will be another round of our work session for our comprehensive plan input. So if you can't attend the first one, we appreciate that effort, and if you can share with your neighbors and friends to come out Thursday night. We've got several others planned, and so July 14th and then July 26th would be the one at Comer at the Travel Museum.
And those two meetings are going to be the same. So if you live on one end of the county, you can just attend one versus the other, because both meetings will be the same for the comprehensive plan. That workshop will be.
You've got that clarity there. So try to plan to attend one of those. It will be similar meetings. Encourage you, the public, and to round everybody up and take your neighbor. All right. Another thing that's on our back to school, annual back to school rally. You can partner with Mark. Drop off place.
Yes, this was last through this in this packet. It's at the Madison County Middle School on July 21st from 30 to 7. I just got the flyer this afternoon, but I have it on the billboard in the hallway. MART they're joining with the school system to take in school supplies. So they're requesting pencil bags, index cards, erasers, markers, crayons. There's a whole list. If you want to make a monetary donation, you can do that at the MART building, which is at the extension office off of the Drive. And that's July 21st.
Thank you, Christine. It's hard to believe it's that time of year. People talking about back to school, and if you're looking for a good opportunity to participate in some back to school activities for underprivileged kids or kids that need anything, this would be a good opportunity if your church or organization that if you don't participate in one of those. All right, that's all I have for the chairman's report. Brings us to number 3 on our agenda tonight: public hearings of actions and zoning matters. The first one that we have is application from Clint Larkin, representing High Point in Development for Sproutley Creek Farm Subdivision. His staff and Chairman Scott.
Yes, sir, we're ready.
Would you like to present that to the board?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Ladies. Clint Larkin, representing High Point Construction Development, presented a preliminary plat. It contains 11 lots, design section of green space with picnic area and walking trails. The property is located on map 0045, parcels 173 and 181. The planning and zoning heard Mr. Larkin's preliminary plat, and they voted unanimously 6-0 to approve the preliminary plat.
We'll begin the public hearing section of this meeting, for this item. So we'll open the public hearing for anyone that would speak, for or in for the application or the applicant here. We'll take the applicant's not here, but we'll also leave anybody who'd like to come forward and speak for this motion, for the application, rather. Being none, is there anybody who'd like to speak against this application? Seeing none coming forward, we'll close the public hearing section for this one and bring it back before the board. This was District 3. Frank is out. The floor for any discussion by any board member.
Do you want a motion before we get we approve the preliminary plat that's presented by the P&Z?
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the board members?
Just have one point of discussion. Canolas or you, one of the board members, wants to ask this. We had mentioned they're only accessing one road, and there's another road close to it that could potentially be an easy through road. Y'all discussed that a little bit. You want to share with this board what the discussion was along those lines and why it does not show that as a through road on the plan?
Mr. Larkin presented to that was not going to be, they made the decision to make that a cul-de-sac or made a turnaround because they did not want that road to go all the way through, that there was, you would actually have two different school areas, one in Hull, one in Cobbett. So put it all in one area, not letting that road go all the way through meant that they don't have to do that. I'm hoping you're that's what we're talking about. Okay. But that will not be a through road.
Thanks, sir.
The concern that I had on that, and I shared this with Mr. Mitchell, is obviously from a safety aspect, it makes it easier for the county to serve in the event of emergency. There's two ins and outs, and that is just very close to McCann Morris Road. But given everything ideal, would like that to be a through road. Now it's not a huge subdivision by any stretch. The total potential lots they show here are 13, but some of those will be consumed in flood areas, so we're probably looking at either huge. And the way it is drawn here, 1.5 acre minimums, if you extended that road, you would either lose a lot or we'd have to grant some variance for a minor for lots that are less than an acre and a half.
Mr. Chairman, I believe he said he would lose 2 lots.
It would make 2 of them less than an acre and a half. So they would have, in order for him to maintain the number of lots that he has, we'd have to grant a variance to allow that. For the group of the board. That's really the only concern that I have. Of course, that could be corrected between now and the final plat approval. There's a way to negotiate through that. But that's, I don't know how big of an issue a split school district would look like. That'd be a pretty simple solution to fix that.
Canolas, have y'all had conversation with the IDA also regarding this? Because I believe that I heard some conversation that they might seek an easement so that they don't have a dead-end line because they have water on both roads and prevent them from having it. I know I've heard that
think it is on one of the maps. I don't know if it's obviously it's not this one, but I do remember seeing it on there.
Well, to answer
We're gonna tie in on both ends.
your question, the IDA did not come before the planning and zoning, concern. They did not come at all, that I know of.
We have there is a letter in your packet from the IDA, Industrial Development Authority. I'm going to read through it. This is from Frank again. Further down in the conversation, or the letter here, it says, I met with Mr. Scott Brown earlier this week and let him know the general requirements of tying into our existing line for Rattler Mill and the other end to our line on McKinnon Morris Road. We will need to have an easement recorded for line running between lots to facilitate the line going to McKinnon Morris Road. Please call if you should have any further questions. Maybe that needs to be.
So that needs to be a condition of it, if we vote to approve it, that needs to be.
I think it'd be making that part of it for clarity.
Right, I agree.
That's page 4, I think, in the packet. The second page, back track.
Those two lots are already 1.5, so. Mr. Pruitt, is there a provision or is there an opportunity for us to grant a smaller size lot to facilitate that road? We've stepping out of bounds to consider that.
Yeah, I'd have to look back at but you know, you have a variance, you have some variance power now. If you met the criteria in there, this would be a special exception variance, like that's criteria you could.
To not impede the progress of the process, I would suggest we go ahead and move on with the condition that easement be shown in there for that water line, but also leaving the conversation open to change maybe between now and the completion of the final plat. If we can work out some negotiation to make that possible. We just work with the applicant.
Can they do that if they approve the clear plat, and then when it comes time for the plat, say that they want that to be a through road?
Well, you can't dictate a through road, but what I'm hearing is the only way it can happen is with this variance. So they can grant the variance to make the through road possible.
Okay.
But what he's entitled to is to develop it as it's shown here, if the motion passes, as it's shown here with the addition of that easement. But as you said, things can change between now and the final plat if all parties agree.
Brian, from a safety aspect, do you think that through road is a large enough issue that we need to put that as a conditional plat approval?
I don't know. The biggest concern that we got is that you got that road going in there and then you got the cul-de-sac. It's probably better if it's through there, but I don't know that it's real, that big of a detriment. It's like the cul-de-sac turnaround in there, that you can put it in there and that you can get and you got proximity to hydrants, because you're not going to put any hydrants on the other side of that lot, you know, except, I don't know how they staged on McKinnon Morris Road, but, you know, you're probably just going to be a line through there. Because you're only going to really probably have one main pumping in there, and then, I mean, the through road would help if you had, but
That may be something to be addressed in these revisions that are going on during the moratorium, because remember, your subdivision regs do allow cul-de-sacs.
that's right.
That might be something that you want to address and make it more limited in the future.
But the other thing about changing tonight is that a variance requires public hearing procedure.
Right.
So,
Yeah, currently the ordinance has lots accessed by cul-de-sac, accessed
yeah,
by
I don't
a
remember
dedicated,
this.
it's 20. So it's an easy opportunity for two accesses there. That's all comments I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All right, for clarity from what I'm hearing, if I can, the motion, we need to add the water line easement, to be incorporated into further development, and suggest that that's the proper word.
Leave the door open for conversation about it.
We'd like to see possible inquiry into punching, because I'm not sure what that would do, exactly where it would land, you know, site distances, those kind of things, safety violations, whatnot, that if we're trying to force something that they may have looked at that we don't know about, but maybe we just ask the questions. So that, just to approve with the condition of, requiring the water line to be punched through as noted in the IDA letter.
Good second.
Okay. All right, so we're looking. Madam Clerk, you good?
Yes, sir.
All right. This was in Franks District. Oh, I'll just go to the next one, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes for me. Okay, right?
I do apologize if I pronounced this wrong, but Helena Santoya is requesting a conditional use for her A2 5.02 acre property to allow her to operate a dog kennel, a maximum of 14 dogs on the property that she and her family live on. She breeds show quality exotic bullies, which are small, medium in size. She's trying to bring her current non-compliant dog kennel that has been in operation for 6 years into compliance with the dog kennel regulation in ordinance. The property is located at 628 Cecil Stewart Road on map 39, parcel 79 in District 2. Some opposition. There was presented a sign.
We've already taken care of it.
Where the neighbors signed in opposition to this particular dog kennel. But the planning and zoning voted to recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, this brings us to our public hearing section for Helena Santoya. We will open up the floor for anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this application.
I'd like to speak for him. Hi, I'm Allie Phillips. I'm a veterinarian at Madison. Mrs. Santoyo and her husband are really good clients of mine. Their animals are exceptionally well cared for. They spend a lot more money than most people in Madison County to care for these animals. They're always very clean, very well taken care of, very healthy animals. They never have intestinal parasites. They never have fleas. They never have anything going on that would, you know, be a potential hazard for other people around the dogs. They're really, really good with puppy care. All of their puppies are always up to date on vaccines. They've always had their rabies shots, and they don't go to rabies clinics to get them. You know, they come and pay full price for a full exam and all of that kind of stuff. I think that it's a really good opportunity for them to be here, and it's a good opportunity for Madison County. It's definitely a good opportunity for my business. I really have enjoyed having them as knowledgeable, especially in animal husbandry and medicine, more so than most of my other clients. So I really appreciate having them, and I wanted to just speak up for them. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak in favor of?
Yes, sir. I'd like to
Come forward and state your name for the record, please.
Yes, sir. We are Christian and Heather Rodriguez, and we're first-time buyers. We got our puppy at the beginning of this year, and, you know, they've always stood by our side to help meet needs or concerns that we've had with the dogs, and they've always seemed to care for their dogs and stay in touch with us. Anything that we need or require from them, they're there to help us, and, you know, we really appreciate them as well. So, and we got to see a couple other little puppy hours, and they're in great conditions as well.
They've helped us, you know, take good care of these puppies, you know, they've taught us a lot, you know, in terms of
Yes, very knowledgeable.
answers that, you know, sometimes we can't get, you know, we definitely can get from them.
Right. Well, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. All right. Anybody like to speak in opposition to this?
Hello, I'm Helen Lewis, someone that was in opposition of it prior. And there was a question, they wanted to know if they had talked to any of the neighbors. They said no, and one of the board members at that time said that she had talked to one, and I was the one that presented the petition. The only concern that we have is as a senior citizen community, most of us are 60 above. They have expressed their concern of the smell, where is it going to go live the bugs, because it's a kennel, it's not just one or two dogs. And then the noise of the barking, and that's pretty much it. It's just, you know, the outcome of the whole situation. That you know, any pound I've seen is out away from a neighborhood. It's not in the middle of one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak in opposition?
I'm Clifford Booth, and I live on this side of the property. My concern is the noise. That's my biggest concern. And this has nothing to do with the pound, but I know that when you operate a business, people who come in and out, that's fine. But noise is my problem. Because they don't have respect to turn the noise down and bothers everybody who has to get up and go to work. We've had this problem going, and I don't know that this will be a problem for this, but my concern is the noise. I don't care about the dogs, and I don't care about, y'all approve it, that's fine. The noise. Have some kind of ordinance about the noise. And that's all my concern is.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Noise related to the kennel operation.
Can I address that? I've actually made.
Hold on, man. Is the applicant here?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'd rather you present any rebuttal information, please.
Yeah. So you want me to come up?
Please. I just. This is your, my point is your opportunity.
So my name is Helen Santoyo, and like you guys already seen, it's going to be a family business that we plan to do. And we don't plan to bring any kind of customers or any kind of dog show to be at our location, if that's their concern of noise. It's going to be noises, the dogs barking, which that doesn't happen much.
Any questions?
You currently have how many dogs at your,
Currently, how many do you have?
Excuse me, sir, I'm the husband, Gil Santoyo. You're talking about pups or grown-ups?
well, I noticed that it says that, a maximum of 14 dogs, so I'm sure that means dogs. So
Yeah.
how many do you currently have?
Yes, sir, we have like 20 right now, but that's counting puppies, but grown-ups is 12.
12.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 2 more than.
Adding 2 more, yeah, and, one more thing, about the noise and stuff like that, anything, I mean, the dogs bark, there's cows, I mean, we out in the country, so, you know, and I got kids, I'm raising a small family, and I'm trying to get this business, we're trying to get this business going, but that's my thing, I mean, we don't get in their lives, I mean, we don't, you know what I mean, everybody lives their own, they make noise, but I don't complain, I don't care.
Yeah, they do make noise. They make noise with their cars and stuff, so we don't say anything. And they have their dogs running around as well.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
We're gonna close the public input session of the public hearing, bring it back to the board. This is in District 2.
Correct.
Tim?
Based on P recommendation, make a motion to approve this use application as presented. It's not a rezone, this is a conditional use to allow this kennel to operate as it has been.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve as presented, the conditional use. Any further discussion?
There were some conditions from P&Z. Does your motion include those?
State those.
Okay, so on motion by Cynthia Fortson and second by William Smith, the board voted to approve the conditions to operate a dog kennel with conditions that the pre-existing metal building that does not meet the minimum setback requirements will not be used for kennel purposes. There is a maximum of 14 adult dogs on the property at one time, and that a privacy fence be erected. So this here is the metal building that they're talking about, the one that's got the red up by the road. This come in as a secondary supplement to your packets sometime in June. This is the metal building they're talking about. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I think that you had talked to Tracy and said that was fine not to use that building.
Yes, that would be my motion, including the conditions that are.
That's 3 conditions. That's the metal building not being used for kennel purposes, a maximum of 14 dogs, and a privacy fence to be erected.
Adult dogs.
Yes, adult dogs. I will specify that.
The mayor, you confirm that?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion. Any further discussion beyond that? Seeing none? Tim?
Yes.
Yes for me?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion approved.
The next one is discuss, amending the zoning ordinance, section 7.2, 7.2.1.11, consider deleting section in its entirety with nothing in its place, and that,
Skip.
did I skip one? I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Section 9.7.3, consider adding an additional section 9.7.3 to address private cemeteries. After much discussion, the planning and zoning voted 4-2 to approve. Okay?
Yes, sir. The zoning ordinance amendment, have a public hearing for public comment on this particular topic. Open the floor for anybody to speak in favor of this zoning ordinance change. Seeing none, open for anyone that has an opposition to the zoning ordinance change. Being none, we will bring it back to the table.
No size limitation for it.
No, not coming on where it is.
All right.
I don't know what it currently says.
The only thing you know what it's currently is.
No.
Is there a size limit
as far as size of the cemetery, is that discussed?
Not that I remember.
Your property line setback to be the only,
No, sir. But this was just to change the,
it would add a section.
Yes,
add a section to private cemetery.
and more regulations. What we have. I know that there's, I think, 2 or 3 inquiries in the planning and zoning department, people coming in, they're interested in doing one, they want to know some guidelines. And, Mr. Roach and Ms. Patrick, they tried to put some stuff together. I know Lacey helped with this, just kind of what other counties have, what the state recommends.
Do we know, my question, do we know any particular differences between public and private? I mean, as far as, are we mirroring?
But I don't know.
I think what's being mirrored, and I'm speaking from memory, but I think, and Chairman Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, what you said is that there are definitions for those different types of cemeteries in state law, and that this is mirroring the state law definitions. Okay. Thank you. All right. Gentlemen? Motion.
Based on the conversation that I've got to participate in the P&Z, I recommend we postpone any action on this time till we get more, till we get further along in the comprehensive plan and decide specifically on private cemeteries in different zoning districts. Anytime you have a cemetery, even if it's just Uncle Joe in your backyard, there are long-term implications that I'm afraid we may not be considering. The potential sale of that property down the road, anytime there's a cemetery of any kind, you have to allow access to it. So we're not defining, is this, what zoning class is going to be allowed in, I guess, ownership class. Anyway, I would suggest or make the motion that we postpone this till we get further into the zoning ordinance. It has not been a big deal. There have been some inquiries, and I do understand the interest in it just because funeral expenses has gotten so high. Time you include funeral homes and burials in a public cemetery like this Danielsville City, if you're not going to a church cemetery. So, but I'm not so sure that we want to encourage at this point the use of private cemeteries.
Can I comment on that?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I feel like I comment on everything, and I don't mean that in a negative way.
Well, you're more involved in the delivering this to them.
I know this because we've had an employee do this over, I guess, the past 5 or 6 years that buried her father and her mother on her private property. So she had to go by state law. So this is where I'll reference Mike. State law allows citizens to have private cemeteries in the county now. So it's not that waiting to vote on this or doing any more research in this is going to prohibit private cemeteries. All this is adding more restrictions.
That's understand it, yeah.
Yeah, so because state law allows you to now. So if we table it, that's fine, but tomorrow still can do a private cemetery on their property now.
I think if you look at the use chart,
Cemeteries, private, public, it's permitted in every zone.
exactly.
Can I tell us what the objections were? I appreciate the vote was 4-2. What were the objections from the?
Well, I was one of the objections, and I was kind of like, Terry, you know, I didn't understand why we were doing this at this time and the rush to get it done. I, for myself, did not have enough information. That was, and I had 4 other board members to vote yes, but there was 2 of us that did vote no. And that's the purpose of having those people on board, because we have difference of opinion. For me, I just did not have enough information.
It looks like, based on Christina's explanation, that this probably just helps us corral this for eventually be looking at making private cemeteries more conditional use instead of permitted use.
And I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was part of the conversation, that this is not intended of the revisions on cemeteries.
Yeah, so kind of a temporary.
If I could make a point here, that is true. This is not the end of it, but we've got a comprehensive plan going on. Why are we doing this now and, you know, have to go back and change, and why don't we, I like Terry's suggestion, why don't we just wait until.
Well, if the state ordinance allows it already anyway, this just gives us a little bit of footing, better footing to stand on here locally. With that explanation, I will change my motion to add this section to the ordinance currently as we're working on the comprehensive plan. With the expectation eventually that it probably will be changed to be more limited, probably by conditional use in certain zoning classifications.
So we have a motion to adopt it as presented. So a second?
Second the motion.
We have a second? Commissioner Adams, any further discussion?
I just want to understand, it says, so it actually says consider deleting the section. So we're actually deleting the section, right?
That's the next one.
That's the next one.
So the next one, I think it was just mentioned in one section of the ordinance. It wasn't clean up. It wasn't consistent with the other district regulations.
We're looking at section.
Section 9.
9.7.
Right. Okay. All right, so that's in,
It's this one.
the other one is in section 7211.
Correct.
And that's just a clear up.
Okay, that's right out of there, because it's,
Yep.
okay, now, I understand, I got you.
To the next one that you're talking about, the 7.2, the 7.2 is talking about A2 agricultural districts, and that's the only where in the ordinance that registered private cemeteries are allowed in that zoning district, to where if you go back to the table that Mr. Chandler was looking at earlier, it's permitted in all districts now. So it's just that formality to clean up.
Okay.
So as far as 3 is considering adopting the ordinance as presented to provide maybe some additional parameters above the state that we do not have at this time. And I think the intent, however, doesn't carry forward, but is that we'll have some additional conversation as a comp plan and other ordinances as they are revised at a later date. We'd like to take that back up, so we just make it. All right. Are we clear?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 9.7 passes.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right.
Okay, now, number 3, I guess it is. 4. In the essence of time, the planning and zoning voted 6-0 on all of these, and since you're going through a public hearing, we will let you just discuss those. But all of the 8.6.2.2, 8.67, there was a 6-0 vote. And the, all of them actually, 8.4, 8.4, and 8.4.
Thank you, sir.
Just for clarification, you're suggesting that when we vote, P&Z voted 6-0 to approve all, so
Yes.
you're suggesting that we take under consideration as a...
I'm not suggesting that because you have to go through a public hearing over each one of them. I'm suggesting that I don't stand up here and read all that, since you gotta go through it.
He's trying to save 5 minutes to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. In reference to our agenda item 3.4, zoning ordinance section 7.2, public hearing, will open the public hearing for anybody to speak in favor of the zoning ordinance change. If none come forward, we'll close it. We'll open up for any opposition. If none coming forward, we'll close the public opportunity, or input opportunity in the hearing section, bring it back to this board. Gentlemen?
Sure. Go ahead.
I make a motion that deleted as presented by the P&Z board.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the proposed amendment change to 7.2. Any further discussion? Mr. Chandler?
Yes.
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 Motion passes. Right. We'll go ahead. Zoning, proposed change to zoning section 8.6, recreational vehicles as temporary residence. We've heard from Chairman Scott that, planning about zoning was recommended change 6 to 0. Being a public hearing, we will open the public hearing open section for the zoning ordinance change. If anybody like to speak in favor of 8.6, please come forward now.
I don't know what the change is gonna be, can you elaborate a little bit on
Yep,
that?
hold on, I'm so
We
sorry.
can get on the screen, I believe.
I am
Thank you.
falling behind. So they are going to, that 8.6.2 is, they're going to delete it in its entirety. And then the 8.6.27, they're wanting to change the amount of days to allow the recreational vehicle as a temporary residence. So this came from a couple of months ago. A lady's home, she was wanting to live in her camper and hook her camper up to her septic tank. She didn't have nowhere to live. It was an emergency temporary use, and she didn't have the acreage, the appropriate acreage or something along with that timeline. So your section, your first one, the 8.6.22, the permit may be granted in R1 zone only to allow it to have a minimum of 1.5 acres. I think she was like on a 1 acre lot. So that's what they're wanting to do away with that. So no matter the size lot you live on, your home burns down and you have a camper, to be able to allow you to use that. And then the second one changed the timeline, the day timeline.
Okay, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, when she came in, we all really felt for her, like this is something that needs to be changed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There y'all, now y'all know how it got there too.
Anybody like to speak in favor of? You know, anybody already go through that?
I can't remember.
Anyway, anybody speaking in opposition of? We'll just double down. All right. Being no one else coming forward, gentlemen?
Chairman, I move that we make this change as presented.
Second.
To approve the proposed amendment to 8.6. Any further discussion? Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Last of our public hearing and zoning matter action items. We've got a proposed amendment to section 8.4 preliminary plat and distribution of copies. We will open.
Yeah, all three of them are changing the number of copies.
We've got a recommendation 6-0 from our planning and zoning board. Being part of a zoning item, we will open the floor for anybody like to speak in favor of this proposed ordinance change. We'll open the floor for anybody that wants to come forward and speak in opposition to this proposed ordinance change. Seeing no one come forward, we will close the public input opportunities and bring it back to the table. Gentlemen?
Chairman, I recommend these changes will be adopted as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the proposed amendment change as presented. Any further discussion? Mr. Adams?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carried. Bring it into our public hearing and zoning action matter. I'd ask the deference of the board. 5-minute recess, please.
I just want to say, I was on the plan to go and extend that close. If he would take, if they would round those lots out to, 1.5 acres apiece, if they could provide that, if we've got to have 3-foot easement anyway. I think it's a lot size requirements. I don't have much. The school district, that's not issue that. What we're doing, and I just have a very, I wish that there would be some.
We lived there for 5 years, so it's like going from. Where it's made. The land. You gotta give this Jim. You go get that thing dressed.
Yeah. Be like our parallel. You okay?
Well, I expect that to get blood in my Christmas present.
Hey, I'm working you. I got it about. It'll be bonus package for the candidates.
Those things that I think, really get absconded by my wife or my children.
Your son.
They're like, oh, this is cool.
Whenever our children come and visit, they take some back with them. Well,
I want like a 100-quart Yeti cooler for those people. And the only time I've seen Anna, everybody goes to Mount Pleasant, they belong to a boat club over there. You know, when you're on
pictures.
Well, I'm not sure. I really fit in with the cooler. I'm sure I'm probably giving that one. Got some paint or something. Our freezer.
Oh, yeah.
For 10 mistakes, like the delays with three.
Good stuff, huh?
Lord, maybe I could. Raising steak, I might need to come and visit. What's it take to get to be part of the family?
All right, I appreciate, patience of our citizenry and those in attendance, and we will pick back up with our meeting. We are, again, past the public hearing and zoning matters, portion of it, we're going into the old business. Agenda number 4, consider amendments to Madison County Planning and Zoning Commission ordinance and bylaws.
Yep, so I'll, discuss this. This one has been, just talked about in conversation with the Planning and Zoning Board. I know that they just did, and the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners has discussed restructuring the P&Z Board. Today, I had made a recommendation. I know there was some issues with what was proposed, and so I had made a recommendation to the BOC Board for the P&Z Board to mirror the BOC Board, the districts, and the chairman's positions, is for those two to be mirrored. I think this all starting was brought up for the P&Z Board is a 7-member board, and some of the commissioners had concerns with your chairman and your appointed at-large board and your districts, the representation, the equal representation, and just the overall size of the board. So the latest version, recommendation was to mirror the BOC board structure for the P&Z board structure. I'm not sure if all the commissioners have been able to review that. It was sent today in an email, and I think Christopher sent it to P&Z members today also. So I'm not sure if the P&Z board, if they've had time to review it and make comments to their chairman. That was one of the things that I come up with today in conversation. I'm like, well, we'll mirror and be the same. Then I propose we just do that, just to mirror it.
Well, thank you. I think some of the conversations that I've had as well is, we did ask staff to make some recommendations and some suggested changes. And this is me speaking personally, in my opportunity to review some things and whatnot, and talking to a few different people, I would make the motion that I have a little more time to review and make decisions. But I'll put it to the board. I mean, I would make a recommendation that we postpone this for some additional time to digest it and maybe some additional questions and answer sessions.
I would second that.
Yours in the form of motion?
Mine is in form of a motion to table it not table it to time to be determined.
Right.
We got a motion and a second. Any further conversation?
Obviously, there's been some controversy about that, and it's been a little concerning. And when I first saw the proposal, it was similar to what Christina presented. Obviously, with the nature of the current makeup of the Planning and Zoning Commission, my immediate response was, you realize what this is going to look like. And sadly, in our society today, perception becomes reality, whether there's any fact behind it or not. And that's a disappointing thing, and that makes this job on this side of the table very, very difficult. And there is not a rush on any of this, as with the exception of very, very critical zoning ordinance amendments, as we're working within the bounds of a moratorium, trying to get things straightened up and trying to release some things to make things more palatable to all the citizens. This is one of those structural issues that when we back up and take a big picture look at it, this is something that we need to consider. And this slipped past me for years and never thought of it, but with the current structure of the Planning Commission as it is, there is the potential to have 3 representatives from one district. Each commissioner nominates one, the chairman nominates one, which will be from some district, and then the P&Z commission themselves select one, which also could be from that same district. So you could current makeup, you could potentially have 3 representatives from one district. That is, and not to say that that's an issue with this board or has been before, but the potential exists for there to be stacked decisions with the current makeup of the board. Obviously, again, with the people that occupy the positions that would be, if this board adopted those new bylaws, the positions that would be eliminated. Again, the perception could be one thing, but again, perception and reality are not necessarily the same thing, and that this board has had with Mr. Roach and Christina and the chairman, everybody. It's about improving or correcting potential issues with planning and zoning or with our zoning ordinance. It has not been targeted anyway, and it's disappointing that it's addressed that way. The entire intent of all the conversation has been to correct problems that exist and head off potential problems down the road. But again, in accordance with the motion, I have no objection to postponing the vote. I just felt like it's important for the public to understand the conversation that has gone on about this and all the ordinance changes that are being considered.
And I appreciate your comments.
Mr. Chairman, before you vote, could I make a comment?
Motion. All in favor? Yep. postpone it?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was just gonna make a comment, I noticed the press,
Yeah, this is
look
not
at
the.
that, that's not the revised
That's not
one.
the revised one, no. Our server is not large enough. If anything that I have to put online, I have to put on Friday. So any changes that get made over the weekend or Mondays do not make it online in time for the meeting. On the website, it's not what's current, was not what was proposed.
No, sir. We're not taking any public comment on that. We've moved to postpone it. We'll pick it up at another time.
But there was something that Mr. Chandler said that was not, should be addressed.
This evening, we can bring that back at a different time. Thank you.
One last comment. One last comment. The P and Z board be able to be within the discussion as y'all postpone this when it comes back up again. Because we were not at the beginning.
We will address, and I can't speak for the board, but all I can speak for is me at this point to determine when it's going to move forward again. And part of the conversation was wrapping us back into other ordinance ideas that we take into consideration. I imagine, I can, I may not be here next time, but I can imagine a conversation.
Oh, no.
All right, number 5. Public Defender's Indigent Defense Agreement and Resolution.
Yes, so I touched base with Todd today. I think Mike is going to more on this when he's had lots of discussion with the public defender and what's changed. I think that y'all had some discussion about their reserves for the budget.
We did, that was the main issue. I think y'all saw this before. The budget did go up this year, and you had that. Our chairman, of course, there's 5 counties that are part of this. Chairman Higdon suggested that that the increase be funded from reserve rather than raise the expenses to the county and
The public
public defender's reserve.
Yes.
Thank you. And that actually, as it turns out, so in addition to the reserve that they have, which is just from savings or operating expenses over the years, which is about $20,000. The Public Defender's Office is receiving a refund from the state that they overpaid, meaning the county's overpaid for expenses in FY21, one fiscal year. And that's about $90,000. So that will cover the increase and still leave them some reserve in case of unanticipated expenses. So it's now been revised. This is what the counties, some counties had approved it before. This will be represented to them. So it's the same budget, but with the increase funded from that state FY21 refund rather than charging the counties, which means the county's contributions will stay the same for next year.
So that's $126,000. That's the number in attachment A.
Of the increase?
Yes, for totals for fiscal year 23.
Oh, yes,
Where
that's
just
right.
all the counties out.
That's right.
So her contribution would be the same as it has been.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay.
Which is, well, yeah, that's right. 126 total, but 117,475 would actually be our contribution
Okay.
and payments, which is the same we made last year, with the difference being made from FY21 refund.
Okay.
Councilor, you.
I'm good with it. Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen.
Chairman, I move that we adopt this contract as presented.
Second. Got a motion and a second of resolution for adopting an indigent defense agreement for the North Judicial Circuit for fiscal year 22 and 23. Any further discussion? With that?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I can ask, will you get that, are you going to get the resolution to Ms. Grantham?
I can.
Okay, yeah, I think it's got to be signed by you and Todd, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It'll probably be later this week.
Right.
With him.
Okay.
Mr. Kirk, did you second that motion?
That's right.
Okay.
It was unanimous, but I second more this meeting, so. We were about the same time, I think.
Perfect.
Just a thank you to the chairman for the negotiation on that.
Yeah.
It saved us several $1,000.
All right. New business tonight, consider amending recreation department budget to install security cameras. I did speak to Shelley, but somebody from the rec department.
I think Ms. Holly's here.
Holly. Shelley was on vacation. I told her to enjoy it. So.
Hello.
Hello.
I am presenting on behalf of the rec department this evening. I believe you guys have some paperwork in your packet.
Yes.
We are asking for an amendment to our budget for additional cameras to cover the park. We have had a amount of vandalism caught on camera, thankfully, with our cameras that we do have. However, there have been instances that have happened that have not been caught on camera. We got a quote from our vendor for an addition to cover all of the areas at Sammy Haggard Park. That total you see at the bottom of your document as $38,272. That will cover all of the park with minimal blood. We've had instances of fights happen at the park over baseball games, teenagers try machines. We have had someone try to break into our press boxes, all of those things that we know but can't prove because there are no cameras. We also had instances of underage drinking at our batting cages, which are not covered by cameras. Then speaking with parents that were there who witnessed, then told us that there were cases of public indecency to know because we didn't have cameras. So yeah.
About recording or storage capability?
Yes, we do. We have access on our office computers, in which we can also remote in and see that on our phones as well.
Resolution?
I'm not sure of that off the top of my head.
Good enough that you can
yes,
see?
Good enough I can see it in our camera so that I can hear conversations as well, which is really good.
And I guess you can transfer that to like the sheriff's department.
Yes, sir. Yes, we do have the capability of like screenshotting, or we can cut and video and send it over. There have been instances I've had to send multiple videos to Detective Hanley and let him do his magic.
And this quote is from the same vendor that provided the first set of security cameras.
You've been pleased with the operation?
Yes, the cameras that we currently have are phenomenal. Like I said, we can hear, which a lot of people are not able to hear with their cameras. That has actually come in handy a few times. We had an instance where a ex-wife got in an argument with ex-mother-in-law, and we needed to going on. It was out of view from the camera, but we could hear the conversation. So that was a plus. Now, Shelley, did you have a copy?
Yes, so in your packet, the first you have is what is phase one, is what is installed now, and Shelley apologized, this was something she had to rough draft.
Yes.
The second one, the red, I asked Shelley to do some colors, so the red is what currently has where they're at, and the blue is what the proposed or the request is for.
To kind of give you guys an idea, the red, this is what we currently, this is what we want to see, at least just at Sammy Haggard. This is also a very rough draft that kind of goes up our heel here from T-ball, and this right here is our softball area, so it's fields 4 and 5. You guys don't have a comment very last minute in my office as I was preparing to come and speak to you guys. But this is additional cameras that we would be able to see as well.
I know you're not asking for it tonight, but have y'all, is there, lack of better terminology, is there phase 3? Are there other areas that y'all future consideration?
We would like, cameras, no blind spots at, well, I say no blind spots, I know that's wishful thinking, but limited blind spots at all of our parks, Brewer, Phillips, Diamond Hill, Myers. But right now, our highest priority are our batting cages and our lower parking lot. Right now, those are covered not at all. Our basketball to spectator areas, that is where most of the incidents happen, especially with umpires or parents or anything to that nature.
I'm shaking my head not because you're requesting it, it just blows my mind that we have to get to this
we have to do it, yes.
point.
Yeah.
I have to say that I reviewed this, and I have some experience with security cameras, camera installation. The dollar amount compared to an incident that could go at the rec department is, this is nothing. I mean, I will say, and to us proceeding with this, but I really wish that we would go ahead and have a survey done of our other facilities, identify where potentially we need cameras there, and thus expedite you approaching the board, because my greatest fear is all we're going to do is move it from one location to the next. And here again, in going by the facilities in the evenings and all, you can tell that the kids aren't out there in the dark practicing softball. You know. But I mean, I personally can support this.
With the, as Commissioner Adams said, with the timing right now, we're approaching budget discussions. So it would be have the whole picture ready for the upcoming budget.
Sure.
Yeah. You know, motion to approve?
It's come out of capital.
It did, the first phase did. This phase, we can schedule to capital outlay, and at the end of the year, if we have to pull it from reserves, that's how we'll do that for that capital outlay budget line item.
This budget amendment be as presented.
No, I asked that, you know, we had assembled, on our ARPA funds, a little wish list also.
Okay.
Potentially some of this monies could come from
Yes.
that source also. So I think there's funding available for us to do this without it being a burden on the taxpayer.
I second your motion.
Motion to approve the cameras is presented at the total dollar amount of $38,272. Locations as presented by the rec department. Second, any further discussion? You know, Kurt?
Yes.
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 Thank you guys so much.
Not as part of the motion, of course, we just voted and approved it, but when time is available, I think it'd be helpful for at least us up here to maybe see a report on incidents captured, recovery, not that it's got to pay for itself, but
Right.
just from data management.
Right, no, absolutely. We can work and get that to you guys.
Do you, and this may be probably for you and Angela, we do instant reports,
Yes.
even though the witnesses may not be willing to share or afraid of some type of replication and all. Do we have a catalog of instant reports related to things that we see?
So we have individual, it's not necessarily a catalog, but we do keep record of all of the incidences that we are able to capture and that people report, say, you know, don't see it on the camera, but we do keep record of they call and this is what they've seen or heard, and we log all of that. And say we do catch something on our cameras, i.e. the vandalism, we call, make police reports, and we fill out incident reports for that as well, and keep that with the police reports.
If we could, just as part of this exercise, then just a short summary of, yeah, of a report like that.
Sure.
And, up to and including, it might be of interest to me personally. I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, specifically in the event of vandalism, if someone was charged with that, and what we did to recover that, and also if you could contact the Madison County Sheriff's Department if there were arrests made on the property, rec department property, both at the main facility and our other places. It might give us a little bit better grasp of why and where we need these.
Sure.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And don't forget about the other parts and getting that into the
Yes.
budget.
Yes.
Yeah. Make that a priority. Getting the other cameras and for the other.
Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that takes care of number 6 on our agenda. We'll move to number 7. Anybody on board with any urgent matters? Being none. Council, clerk, any reason for the decision?
No, sir.
Any motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I move we adjourn.
Good job.
Very good.
Chairman Pro Tem.
Either 1 or 2 or 3. You're taking care of it, Chris.
She was in my gun room, that's why I kept all my notes. I said, Dad, when I die, you're gonna be like my memoirs.
No, it's not as bad as it used to be. Lord.
For one reason, we look
Yeah, I bet, yeah. And I just had Thursday, had a MRI and CT scan, and they said everything looks good. Back and forth. Now if I just do something about arthritis.
Scott.
Christina.
Yeah, those back in the days when the 69 capacity bus had 75 or 80 people.
You was on the Sanford route, you had about 93.
We were the last picker.
Adam is mostly outliers. Yeah. Oh, let's see. He makes it one side down, now the other. Down
I believe it's open.
Bradley.
Yeah, I believe it's next to open. Citizen comments or something. Specifically on that side.
Wife was Bradley. By the time
How old
you get to
Oh, sorry.
a few, they used to be trouble riding.
That in next year.
You stood up.
I figured it early on. I was actually pretty long. I was like, I'm not, I don't do that.
I got 21-year-old son.
Like that. See, we do our program by state council all present, so if you want to come out and do that. I mean, we have an intern now, one day now, he interned with us last year, and now he's on. Yeah,
Not just that. I understand. Okay, I understand. You know, I understand. I just talked about I would say no. Well, yeah. We need to define we need to define what that and that's what we need to do. See, this thing is easy.
Yes, they have their own park.
And also, all the training. Absolutely. We just think, we got to put all the pieces together. The actual best thing would be is your administrator will be the chair. Okay? Yeah. But,
We plan on doing it, my family did it last year, but I didn't.
we got, hey, this is the reason, this is whole
Years ago. Right now.
Just my, I want to do this. Yeah, you need to get together, what you want to do, and sort of what you want to say.
You want me to bring that
Or whatever, yeah, you just give me, and we can fix stuff up. Yeah. And Christina does most of the work on that, but I'll sort of get it going.
My wife's getting the, bar.
The two-story building right there.
Yeah, I've been there, yeah.
Yep, that's, we're
She's
still,
gonna raise
yeah, we'll have our meeting soon, it's
We're actually
Wednesday.
the budget we had last year.
You
Okay, all right, take care. Yes, sir.
And you
Yes, sir.
right, about this,
Go ahead, I'm gonna tell you.
and you
Yeah.
land that you want. And if they don't accept it, we move on.
Yeah. Listen.
The ladies, the dispensary, well, that wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There needs to be right. Yeah. And he'll do it.
Well, I mean, I heard it was gonna be done.
That was what the request was, to donate part.
Well, wait a minute, maybe that's something, pretend it's possible.
By the time.
Because that's you.
That's